Guys, what's up? Josh Feuerstein here. Look, so I've had a lot of atheist friends that have told me that it's illogical to believe that God exists and, well, that there's no way that I can ever prove a God exists without using a Bible. So, just for fun, here we go.
Behold, the Atheist's Nightmare.
You know, if you were to walk out of a forest and all of a sudden you were to see a mountain and that mountain had four faces on it, well, sure, we know that it's Mount Rushmore because we've read the history books. But say you had never read a history book, never read a textbook, never heard about it, and you walk out of a forest and all of a sudden you see this mountain with four faces on it, would you think that it had just evolved that way? Or would you look at it and say, wow, look at the intricate design, look at the artwork, look at all the specific detail and intricacies that are put into this one particular mountain? I mean, you wouldn't think that that rock had evolved, would you? No, because you have brain cells. You would realize that there was design, and if there was design, that there had to be a designer. Why do you think it is that if you look at a house, well, there's blueprints to a house. You look at a car, there's blueprints to a car. You realize that each one of those things had to be designed and put together. Then why is it that when we look at our body and look deep down inside of the little DNA code that we realize that there's 3 billion letter codes in our body called DNA? It's a design. That means that you are made up, that you are constructed. Now, if you are designed, then wouldn't it make sense that there's a designer? I mean, in fact, if you were to look at this Earth and realize that it's 8,000 miles in diameter, that it's 93 million miles from the sun, that it's tilted perfectly to 23.5 degrees, and just so that you get all of the seasons and the moon and the tides and everything works perfectly together, when you realize that our atmosphere is perfectly constructed for us to live in, 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, even Richard Dawkins himself said the universe and the laws of physics seem to have been specifically designed for us, because if any one of those 40 major components were off by just a little bit, the earth and life as we know it would collapse on itself. And yet there's people that believe in evolution. And they say that I'm illogical for believing in a God. Well, have you ever really looked at science? Because I would challenge you, those of you that still believe in evolution and think that we just somehow evolved from monkeys. Believing in evolution is paramount. Believing that an organism is able to gain genetic information. There's never been an organism, ask any scientist, that has ever gained genetic information. In fact, we are constantly losing genetic information. If anything, we are devolving, not evolving.
There are three basic types of mutations: point mutations, insertions, and deletions. Occasionally, during replication, in spite of all the proofreading and corrections, a mismatched base pair in one of the chromosomes, as for instance an adenine base pairing with a cytosine base, goes unnoticed, and the cell proceeds with either mitosis or meiosis. Repair enzymes in the daughter cell that received the mismatched pair notice the mismatch and proceed to correct it. However, these enzymes no longer have any way of knowing which strand is an original parental strand or a newly replicated daughter strand. If the enzymes correct the mismatch by replacing the base on the daughter strand, the original base pair will be restored. However, if the enzymes correct the mismatch by replacing the base on the original strand, a base pair different from the original DNA will result, and a point mutation will have occurred. Insertions and deletions occur not due to any errors in replication, but rather from a break or breaks in one of the strands. Often outside sources, such as radiation or chemicals, cause these breaks. Insertions often occur when one strand breaks in a single location and one or both of the freed ends loop out. Repair enzymes fill in the resulting gap with new nucleotides, making the strand that had the break longer than the strand that remained intact. As a result of how the process of replication works, after cellular division, one daughter cell will receive a new longer segment of DNA due to the insertion mutation, while the other will receive an unchanged, mutation-free segment of DNA. Deletion mutations occur if a strand of DNA breaks in two places. The section between the breaks is forced out, and the repair enzymes draw the two remaining strands together without filling in the missing nucleotides. Again, a loop occurs in one of the strands, but in this case it is the intact strand. Now when cellular division occurs, one daughter will receive a shorter segment of DNA due to the deletion mutation, while the other strand remains unchanged.
Yes, there's been nobody that's ever observed life coming from non-life, and yet it is that people say it's illogical to believe in God. Well, I would challenge you today to understand, to realize, to comprehend that you were designed by a God. A God that loves you. That means that you have inherent value. That means that you have worth. And that means that your life is not just some mere accident that you just play out. Just happen chance, that you were actually born with purpose and divine destiny. And if God built you, He has a plan for your life. He has a purpose, and He has attributed value to you. That, well, if He is life, that you came out of life, and that when you have Him inside of you, that you can have life everlasting. I challenge you today to come to that understanding. To look at the facts, look at it logically. Logic says there's no way we ever evolved. No, we were created by God. We weren't an accident. We were designed.
We have a saying in science: extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science. Now, if you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience. The difference between pseudoscience and regular science is whether or not you can test it.
If you agree with me, please take a moment and share the information, share the knowledge.